What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I will say today was an off day for me. I came here into the garage to do a lot of cleaning, a lot of moving things around, piling a bunch of stuff to take to the storage unit, and I've been out here for a couple of hours now just doing a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. I've been pushed off to the side for quite some time. If you guys remember, I did some rear extended wagon axles for the wagon for whenever I decide I want to run it again. I'll have some spare axles that are length accordingly. I only assembled one of the axle shaft a while ago and the other one has just been bare, but I finally got to tearing apart the other axle to use the cups, the bearings, the boot, and all repacked it with grease on the new extended axle. So now I have a pair, two axles, and they're ready to rock and roll. So I piled that outside along with the JDM EF2 spindles we're no longer using because we're going to be using the DA spindles for the big brake upgrade. So I took the EF2 spindles, piled that outside. I moved a lot of the pistons that were from the old block with the other pile of pistons that I'm no longer using, cutting a bunch of boxes down. I got a bunch of packages from Amazon that I cut open. I'll show you guys that later. But when I went to the storage unit to drop off all the items I'm not going to be needing or using for a while, I grabbed the third engine stand that I took over there months ago and brought it here to the garage for Chewy's K24. I was gonna pop the single cam off the turbo kit, but I didn't want to have to find a home location for them, so I left that on the engine stand and grabbed my spare one. And today in this video we're going to be doing the preparation to Chewy's K24a engine. And what I mean by that is we're going to entirely go through it as far as accessories and all the timing, water pump component, all that good jazz, to where by the time this video ends the engine should be ready to go, aside from clutch, flywheel, transmission, and then into the car. We've been piling a bunch of stuff between me and him in the last couple of weeks, and it's kind of taking up my spot. If you guys didn't see the last video, I kind of showed you guys what the pile looks like. That entire thing right there is for Chewy's K24 right there. So in today's video, I'm gonna do minimal talking. We're just gonna get right to work cleaning the engine, the components, and pretty much just do the maintenance and then reassembly. So let's get to it.
Finding the dedicated tool search helps you narrow down the result.
Guys, this is a stupid idea, okay? So don't do this at home. That worked out better than I thought. All right, guys, so take a look at the engine. It's clean for the most part because this is a JDM K24a RBB4. So the TSX that it came out from, it was swapped with this, which typically already comes clean from wherever you're buying it from. So it's not going to need a lot of cleaning. And we are only shooting for the OEM cast. We're not painting this at all. But take a good look at this because we're going to start stripping it down. Ooh, this thing is clean, clean. Okay. Okay. Quick little update for you guys. The timing chain side, the cover is off, tensioner is off, the chain itself is off. I took off the dual balance shaft oil pump because I donated a K20 oil pump for Chewy's engine. This thing has already been modified for the K24. The webbing on the bottom has been chopped to clear the K24 girdle, right? All of this, and I have everything for it. The timing chain, the guides, the hardware, and I do have new timing chain and tensioner as well, and we're almost ready to put this entire thing back together. The oil pan, I need to bung it for a -10 because we are going to be turboing this setup. And one more thing I need to do is I need to pop this guy off right here and then plug it up and then valve lash before I do all the accessories for the outside of the engine. So let's go ahead and shim the oil pump. I figured because I'm already here, I'm gonna shim the oil pump. So you have to find a washer that's the same diameter as the spring so that they can sit in the slot all the way down. And it doesn't have to be thick at all. This is just like a regular washer. And I did have to shave this one down just a little bit. And you pretty much just drop it down into the hole first, right? You can see the washer bottomed out right there at the bottom. And then the spring goes on, right? It's gonna lift the spring up the thickness of that washer, and it's gonna bump your oil pressure quite a bit. So you pretty much just put the little bolt back on, torque it down to spec, and now you got a shim oil pump. You take a wood screw, drill it into this little fitting, and then you pop it out. There it is. Take a 112mm bolt, thread it in there. You can torque it to spec. I'm gonna give it one ugga. So when you toss the windage tray on, that bolt should go through this hole right here. This hole right there. Gucci. do not forget this piece right here. Guys, you only need a skim coat, okay? Do not globber up the surfaces with RTV because the squeeze out is going to be much larger on the inside and out, and eventually it's going to peel off and like sit inside your oil pan. Oil pump picks it up, clogs up, run lean on oil, and spin your bearings. Just glaze over it. That's it. That's it. I run these bottom shoulder bolts first to align the cover, and then the top ones, and then the side ones. The slightest squeeze out. That is all you need. The slightest squeeze out. I know you guys been telling me about these, and I finally got them. I finally got them. Somebody come look at this. Somebody come look at this. Amazon, under 10 bucks. Can't beat it. All right, so before I move forward with the accessories on the engine, I want to weld a -10 bung on the oil pan to seal up the oil pump because it's just open right now. So typically between these two bolts, high as possible, and gotta make sure I even have a steel -10 bung. Right here. Is this steel? Okay, this is steel. Aluminum, aluminum, aluminum. That's also steel, but okay. I got this guy. So what I do is I put a -10 fitting on the bung, so that way I can kind of like figure out how high can I go before the fitting touch the lip, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and just measure this out real quick, drill out the hole, and then we gotta weld that sucker up. You guys remember when I purchased this from you guys remember when I unboxed this long reach permanent marker? Super freaking clutch. Got the hole drilled out right there, got all the paint cleaned up on the edges as well. We're gonna be welding this from the inside. Right here you can see the hole on the outside, and the fitting goes on, flushed, and we have plenty of space for the AN fitting, right? And all we got to do is just weld along the lip of that -10 and we should be golden. This thing didn't even take me long at all, literally less than a minute to just fuse the thickness of the -10 bung into the oil pan. Gucci. This gotta go. Gonna have to rob it off of my oil pan because I don't have another one. Change this out as well too. Oil pan ready to go on. If you guys remember Project Blueberry, I used the K20 oil pump conversion and I retained the RBB oil pan. It fits, it worked. I clearanced it. There's plenty of space here between the pickup tube, and I didn't have any issues with Project Blueberry. Pan goes on. Got the O-ring on here. Looking good, looking good. Import direct water pump. I've not had an issue with this at all for the K series. Part number CP9461 for the K24. No oil cooler. We got the gasket. Big pause. Gasket's on. K24 alternator. The difference between the K24 and the K20 is that the plug is in the front on the 24 and on the 20 it's on the side. I also test fitted this earlier and this comes really close to the PRB manifold. I'll show it to you guys. So when using the K20 intake manifold, just for simplicity's sake, and what I mean by that is the K24 manifold, I call it the limp dick because it limps down and it kind of covers up a lot of the space down here. And for easy accessibility to like everything down here, there's more space with the K20 PRB manifold, right? Although the K24 manifold, you can pop the 12 mils in the front and pop the front cover off and then everything's in front of you, but it's just like there's so much attached to the throttle body side you got to take off to remove just that front half. Also, the K20 manifold is separated by the, you know, coolant jacket over here. So when you need to take off the manifold or access whatever down here for any reason, you don't have to drain your cooling system, right? Because it is separated from the intake manifold, where the K24 is the full unit, and if you need to take off the manifold, you have to drain your cooling system. So the charging port right here, if you look, it's right now it's kissing because, you know, once I like kind of push it up, it clears it from the 10 mil. It's really close. I can clearance it, but if I just put the power cable on there and put the rubber boot, it should be okay, but that's just really close. Aside from that, the alternator will work perfectly fine. So before I put the manifold on, I got a couple other things I got to do. So when you're putting any K24 into your swap, like Golden Era cars, you need to swap the post mount over to a CRV 2nd gen. And this right here allows you to use any swap motor mounts to put a K24 into your Golden Era Honda. I don't know where he got this from, but I will tell you that Max Ping Rod does have one on their website, and they're very cheap. And if you use a discount code too, it'll save you 10% off your order. So this is the K24 A1 post mount, and I don't remember if the existing hardware fits this, but in case you guys didn't know, post mount hardware are specific because they are shoulder bolts, which helps align the mount, but I gotta find the hardware. Might be a little hard for you guys to see, but right here at the very top before the head, it has a shoulder on it. All three of them does have a little shoulder right on the top. You can kind of see the shadow right there. You see how the post mount moves around? Watch when I get the shoulder into the hole. It barely moves around. Very specific bolts. We are going to be using the factory tensioner because we're going to use the EP3 idler pulley. wood rough key, K24 crank pulley, and crank bolt. We're gonna hit this with the Ugga Dug. Again, shout out to our friends at Max Peeting Rod. We are gonna be using their EP3 idler pulley. Same one I ran in Project Blueberry, same one I run in the silver sedan with no issues. Very affordable. We have the belt right there. We have the idler arm, the hardware, and right here we have the pulley. We got the belt right here, label facing out. Yeah, the tensioner is already bottomed out, and we're still about an inch away from the tensioner, and the tensioner is maxed out. So it looks like I'm gonna have to swap the crank pulley for a K21. Show you guys the difference right there. God dang, that's freaking crazy. This should be for my brother's K20 Z3, since we put a K24 crank pulley on his, because he's supercharged to try to squeeze a little more PSI out of his whip. And there we go. I got the starter put on, the water pipe, the heater hose right here in the back, and I did bridge the alternator to the starter, and we still need to build a charge harness from the starter to the cabin of the car, but that's when everything goes into the car so we can length it accordingly. So the last thing I need to put on before the intake manifold is the Max Peeting Rod billet thermostat housing that swivels and is universal between the K20 and the K24. Right here we have the billet unit, and this comes with the barb fitting, or I believe this is -16 for AN hose, and it has the provisions for a fan switch, a coolant temp sensor, and all that. We're gonna actually block all of these off because we're not using a fan switch, and the coolant temp sensor, I'm actually gonna run it on the upper billet adapter that goes right here, and I'll show you guys that in a minute once the manifold is on. But so I'm gonna go ahead and just assemble this real quick, and then we'll bolt it onto the thermostat housing on the water pump housing itself. I have Honda bond on both these plugs right here, but I don't have one big enough for this guy, so I'm definitely gonna have to source a fan switch to use as a dud. And what I also did was I drilled a couple of holes into the thermostat housing for the turbo guys to make sure that we are gonna stay pretty cool. Honestly, in my car, I don't even have a thermostat, but this is just gonna work as if we have a thermostat, so the car can at least warm up, but instantly have flow. I'm pretty sure Chewy's gonna use a Sirocco radiator, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of position this barb going towards the driver's side, but we are gonna loose it all back up when we put it into the car to, you know, get the better angle for the radiator hose. But somewhere there, and because we're in that position, we have to take this off to access this bolt. I'm gonna loosely thread this back into place because all this is gonna come back apart to reposition. But we got the Max Peeting Rod K20, K24 billet thermostat housing installed. So for right now, guys, I'm not gonna fully bolt the intake manifold down, but I am just gonna go ahead and mock it up for you guys visually. how this thing is going to look in the car when it's all said and done. So I'm just going to go ahead and put one 12mm nut on here just to kind of hold it into place. And I want this to be on to show you guys the coolant adapter that we have to run when you're running a K20 manifold on a K24. So you got to use one of these right here to block off the missing piece as if you're running a K24 manifold, because the K20, it's a separate unit that sits here, and the K20 is integrated into the manifold. So you can use one of these. It comes with a hole for a 12mm bolt, and then it comes with this little adapter flange that actually gets bolted down to this 12mm right here that secures the manifold to the cylinder head. Then you have a port right here for the coolant temp sensor, which I was showing you guys on the thermostat housing. We're actually going to move it up to the top here and get the reading for ECT from the cylinder head instead of down there. I've noticed that the coolant temperature reading is almost 20-degree difference, and if you want a more accurate reading, I'm just going to go ahead and put it right here. But I also did notice that because we're using the stock manifold, if I put the ECT sensor here, it actually comes pretty close to the throttle blade or throttle body valve where the 12mm nut is at. But we'll find a solution, not a big deal. So this gets bolted down right here, and then the 12mm holds it there, and the 12mm holds it here. Another provision that this kit comes with is this hole right here, and if you don't want to rely, say, on this right here bolted to the manifold, you can completely remove this and drill this hole all the way through, tap the cylinder head for a 10mm, and they give you a hardware for this to bolt this piece directly onto the cylinder head, and it uses its own bolts rather than relying on this one on the manifold. They come with a plug in case you're not using that port on the top. It comes with that 12mm threaded Allen key bolt for the bottom, and then the factory hardware on the top. But like I said, if you don't want to use this piece, they give you this bolt right here, which is like a Honda threaded 10mm, and you drill it all the way through, and then you secure this piece to the cylinder head by itself. So just for, you know, demonstration purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and just thread this one on the bottom. I'm not gonna run RTV either because I am probably gonna drill and tap the cylinder head, but I don't know where my tap's at, so I can't do it right now. But right now you can see the bolts in place, and then we have a Honda 12mm. This is spring action, so you put RTV on the back side around both the holes. You put this piece on, and then the 12mm, it's gonna bolt into that little flange, and then the spring, the pressure, is going to kind of like pressurize the billet piece to the cylinder head to keep it secured, along with that one bottom bolt at the bottom. So before my camera dies, you can see the bolt on the bottom flushed up, that flange to the 12mm bolt to the intake manifold to the cylinder head, and if I ran the ECT sensor right here, it's literally going to point right in front of that. So I don't know, that's really close. I could probably put the sensor in, but the plug to the sensor is probably going to interfere with that 12mm bolt, so definitely going to have to find a different solution. I can actually just like drill and tap it to here somewhere, because this coolant passage is all routing the same coolant passage. So this piece right here, K20 manifold on a K24, must have. So one more thing I want to do is I want to install the injectors onto the fuel rail, just to make sure we have all the spacers and everything correctly to seat this in place. Now this is just a universal kit from eBay, or at least that's where I think he got it from. The kit comes with the fuel rail. It comes with the fittings if you're using like RSX or an 8th gen. It comes with the fittings for the fuel rail, and then it comes with the fuel pressure regulator right there, all the fittings you need. And it comes with some lines, not all the lines, but it comes with some line. We're going to worry about that when everything is in the car. But for right now, I just want to put the injectors on. I've already cleaned them. We're just going to run OEM injectors for now, because we're going to keep it all motor at first, obviously. Base map it for the stock injector and the stock K24. And then later we'll switch all of this out. But for right now, we're just going to run the stock injectors. Let's go ahead and squeeze this sucker in. Fuel rail spacers, the little brown things right here. Goes onto the stud, one on each side. Hopefully the length of the injector and this fuel rail fits perfectly with that spacer. O-rings are lubed. You want to twist them into place, not bob it or twist it or pull it. Give them a good old twist if you're really good with your hands. All right. Face them all up. And it looks like it works perfectly with the spacer. I lied. The OEM 12mm nut with the flange on it works perfectly fine. Alright guys, thank y'all for making it to the end of the video. Chewy's K24a RBB4 engine preparation is just about done. There's still a bunch of few miscellaneous small stuff I need to do, like change the oil filter, the fittings for the fuel rail, the vacuum line right here, a grommet for the charge post because it comes really close to the intake manifold. Bunch of small miscellaneous stuff, but as far as the big important stuff, it's done for the most part. And this engine is actually going to sit on the stand until we are ready to actually put it into the car itself. We still need axles, ECU, a clutch, and a transmission, right? So it's just going to sit here on the engine stand until we get all of those main components before we start the process on the wagon. So quick little recap for you guys. This is a JDM K24a RBB4, and we got this from the homie Marco from his Rec TSX, and he gave the homie Chewy a good deal. So we went all the way to Marco's place to pick it up, and it's been sitting here for quite some time with a bunch of parts piled up on top of it. We kind of chopped the pile of parts in half, but we still got a bunch of stuff right here on the floor, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So quick little recap. In the last 3 days, yes, it took 3 days to put this long block together in between my regular non-car life, but K24a, we stripped it down to the bone, and I pressure washed and cleaned the hell out of it. You know, all the components, the long block, timing cover, all the little bolts and everything. Look, that freaking acid cleaner, man, look at this. Everything came out freaking goddamn clean. The acid cleaner is so damn strong, it literally took off that gold from the fuel rail. If you guys look, it's just straight up silver now. So be careful when you use the mossy acid cleaner, man. But anyways, we cleaned all the components, and then I stripped the timing cover off to take off the chain, the tensioner, the dual balance shaft, oil pump, and then we did a new chain, new tensioner, K20 oil pump conversion, valve lashed it, and then we did the bung for the oil pan for the turbo because we are going to be boosting this car as well too. And then we resealed it with a timing cover, and then we moved on to the accessories where we did the K24 water pump housing because the last one was cracked, new water pump because the last water pump pulley was also shot, alternator was shot, so we have this semi new one on here as well too. And then we have the max speeding rod EP3 idler pulley kit, which is complete, although we had to swap out the K24 pulley for a K20, which is not a big deal because got like 3 of these sitting around. We swapped the post mount for a K24A1 Gen 2 CRV post mount for, you know, K-swap motor mounts to golden era cars. The, you know, TSX one is a different orientation. When I was cleaning the OEM tensioner, apparently somebody has swapped this out as well too, so this is kind of sort of new, so that's freaking awesome. And then going underneath the manifold here, max speeding rod billet thermostat housing. I ran the water pipe and the water hose for the here in place, starters in place, and I also did route the charge cable for the alternator to the starter. And then we're only going to run one charge harness from the starter all the way to the inside of the car, which I'll build according to wherever the fuse box sits. But I did this beforehand because of how close that is, and I didn't want to keep taking out the nut back and forth because it's really freaking tight. But anyways, that's all done. And the intake manifold, again, it's just bolted on with one bolt just to bolt up the PQY coolant adapter for the K24 head if you're using a K20 intake manifold. So all this is going to come back out because I'm going to finalize that. Fuel rail from eBay with the stock injectors and coil pack, everything's all put back together just so it's more organized. But the long block, guys, is almost ready to go. So parts on the floor, what's left here is, I didn't know this, but Max Peen Rod has a half shaft for the K20 for RSX, and we're gonna try it out. Since he doesn't have one, I grabbed this from Max Peeling Rod. We have Max Peeling Rod shifter box with the base plate and the firewall grommet for the shift cables, which I don't think I'm gonna run, but base plate, shifter cables. We have the Max Peeling Rod tucked harness right here at the bottom as well too. And then he bought this from eBay, K-swap sub harness for the EF chassis. And this is awesome because this is the first time I'm seeing this. So this is awesome because it comes with the SI plug. If you're you know, an SI model, or if you're not an SI model, it comes with a sub harness for the DX guys, which, you know, most of my cars are DXs. So this is from eBay with the harness, eBay fuel line kit regulator, and then we have the eBay motor mounts right here. So all that right there is going to be unboxed when this is ready to go into the car, once we get all the bigger, you know, key components like the clutch and the transmission. But aside from that, this thing is ready to rock and roll, and I'm pretty stoked that we're making a ton of progress on his engine. Now he just gotta do his part and get the rest of the stuff so we can start making progress on the car itself. I went to the P.O. box 2 days ago, and I was very shocked to see this show up to the P.O. box. And I've actually wanted to buy this for quite some time now, but it's been on back order for a little while, and I kind of just like stopped keeping up with it, and I never knew if they ever came back in stock or whatever, but apparently they did, because one of you guys sent this to the P.O. box, and I'm very anxious to try it out. This thing has been floating around social media for quite some time now, and I've been watching a lot of the videos from, if you guys may know, the Triggerman. This is a Haichika electric sprayer that does not require air or air compressor, and dude, we're gonna try this out. We are definitely gonna try this out. I've been watching a ton of video on these sprayers, and I've been seeing a lot of different techniques and pro tips and tricks, things to stay away from, to really see some good results out of this spray gun. We're gonna try this out, guys. Man, this is freaking awesome, dude. I did not expect this to show up to the P.O. box at all, and hopefully soon. I'm gonna have to go buy some, I think, to keep it simple with the 1 cup that this thing comes with, I'm probably going to try this with single stage. I do have single stage graphite gray I can try for right now. I feel like if I can do really good with single stage with the graphite gray that I have in the cabinet, I might just end up doing the silver sedan in single stage silver. So we're going to try this out soon, see how well it works, and hopefully we'll have a bunch of videos using this spray gun, guys. But anyways, guys, we're going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the progress update on Chewy's K24 engine. If you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. Also, remember to hit up Max Peeling Rod's website for a bunch of the stuff that we use in today's video, and use discount code YSTATIC to save a couple of bucks off your order. But if you guys want to stick around for more progress update on the JDM EF2, man, be sure to hit the subscribe button. I got a bunch of stuff that came in from Amazon, a bunch of wire looms in black and green. So we're going to start diving into the wiring system to get it all back into the engine bay here soon. So I hope you guys stick around for that. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Peace.